Company on our radar today is Shyam Metalics Energy, and the company's top management is joining us as well. Sheetij Agarwal, the director of the firm, is joining us. Remember, the company is engaged in the business of steel manufacturing and energy generation. The company produces a range of steel products, including long steel, flat steel products. It also generates power through its captive power plants, and recently, it's now forayed into the energy storage sector by announcing the launch of battery-grade aluminum that's required in the manufacturing of lithium-ion batteries. Very good morning to you, Mr. Agarwal, and thank you so much for taking the time out for this discussion on Business Today TV. Sakshi this side, and with me is my colleague Shell as well. Let me begin by first understanding from you about this new announcement that you have made. How big an opportunity is it going to be by way of accelerating growth in your top line, and by when do you think it will start to reflect on your books as well?
Good morning, Sakshi and Sailesh. Thank you for having me on the show. 2 years back, we set up an aluminum foil rolling facility with the motive of catering to the flexible packaging needs of the country. However, recently, after much R&D, we have been able to develop battery-grade aluminum foil in our plant. This is a raw material. It's a critical raw material that goes into the cathode connector of any lithium-ion cell, be it LFP or NMC cells. We believe that looking at the current growth in the EV sector, boosted by the PLI scheme of the Honorable Prime Minister, there would be a ramp-up demand, which we would see starting fiscal year 24 onwards, up to 2030. We believe that owing to the PLI scheme, there is almost more than 50 gigawatt capacity that has been announced, and this is coming up very quickly due to the time frame that has been put on the scheme. The scheme also mandates the battery manufacturers to procure almost 70% of the component going into the battery locally. Now, Shyam Metallic being one of the first companies in India to have established quality battery foil, we would definitely be at the forefront of this developing demand situation. So yes, I think the future looks optimistic, and it's a developing market. We look forward to see how the entire demand looks.
Mr. Agarwal, welcome to BTTV and of course to Market Today. You've been a fantastic performer on the markets. The IPO was somewhere like in June of 2021 and priced at something like 306 rupees per share at the moment in the green. Let's talk about your main business at the moment. You are in the business of course, forging and a lot of other things related to metals. So how is demand placed? A lot of your companies in the peer group are doing fantastically well, given the demand that's coming from the auto space. How do you see the existing business, and what is the guidance that you can share with us for the next 18 months or so? How much of capacity is coming online?
No, so we have implemented almost all the additional capacities that were promised during the IPO phase, and that has shown a drastic volume ramp up on our side. As the monsoon quarter comes to an end, we see robust demand coming up October onwards. The last two fiscal quarters should remain robust on the demand side. Being present on the long steel value chain and catering to the construction needs of the country, we are looking at a drastic increase in the construction activity that will take up October onwards. And we believe that our revenue and EBITDA numbers should remain solid, and we should be able to perform better than what we have in the last 2 quarters.
Sticking to the current business, the end of March 2022 showed a profit of about 1724 crores. And at the moment, we see somewhere like 800 crores on trailing 12-month basis, actually 680 crore rupees. Why is there a dichotomy?
Right. So, if you compare the fiscal year 22 to 23, there has been a correction, a drastic correction in steel prices. If you look at the first 2 quarters, there was also, high value inventory that we were carrying through the quarters, most of which we have used now, and the entire raw material base has now stabilized to reflect the market oriented prices. So we should be looking at a more optimistic figure going ahead. Also, there is additional capacity that has been commissioned in these last 2 quarters, including a power plant, a captive power plant, which we have commissioned at our unit in West Bengal. This would enable us to be power self-sufficient to a tune of more than 80%. So all these things will be reflective in the next 2 quarters, and we hope to see better results.
Right. What are your power costs at the moment, and how much of a margin improvement will you see when the entire power plant comes on stream? What's the capacity installed in power?
Right. So overall, our group capacity would be touching around 400 megawatt as of now, and we have commissioned additional 90 megawatt, which has happened last quarter itself. Right. Most of our power cost we are able to control as we are generating power through the waste heat recovery technology. This is from the waste heat that we are generating from our DRI plants. In most cases, our power cost waivers are below 3 rupees. So that is extremely competitive as compared to grid power and rest of the industry. And we look to see these gains in the next quarter.
Okay. I wanted a bit of your view on the capacity additions that you may be planning while you are foraying into this new business of yours. Would you need to add, capacities at this current level? What would be the expansion plans be like? And would you also need to raise any funds? You earlier have diluted a bit of stake via QIP. Would you be looking at further raise of funds to fund these additional capacities if planned?
Right. So most of our additional capacity would be funded from internal accruals. That has been the policy of the group. Other than that, most of our projects that are currently ongoing are, stipulated to come up well within the designated time frame, and they mostly cater to the existing value chain in which we are present. So either we are backward integrating or we are forward integrating to consolidate our value chain. We have increased our finished steel capacity drastically, and this has increased now to more than 2 million tons, which earlier 3 years back was only 1 million tons, and it's contributing more than 40% of our revenues. So this would be the mantra of the group going ahead, and we hope to see a more, a better performance going ahead on the same.
Okay, Mr. Agarwal, one quick question on your promoter shareholding. What is it at after the recent dilution via QIP and OFS? And by when do you see it coming to the norms of SEBI by 75%? When do we see that happening? And any other inorganic opportunities also planned in the future quarters?
So we have recently, diluted more than, I think, 7.5% of the promoter stake, and that has majorly been through the OFS process. However, we would see a further dilution in the same range. This would come within the next 6 months as per the mandate by SEBI.
Mr. Agarwal, would you like to comment on the broader business outlook that you're seeing in terms of demand emanating from the construction space? Why we ask this is that across, at least in southern India and parts of northern India, a slew of residential projects have been announced, and a lot of them are now coming up. How is the demand shaping up from the real estate space?
No, I think the demand shaping up from the real estate space is extremely robust, and it's going to be even better going ahead. Now that the monsoon quarter has come to an end, construction activity will be on full swing. We are also seeing a lot of demand coming up from IHB or individual home builders. Now, as the festive season approaches, there is a lot of demand that will come up from there. So the next 2 quarters should be robust. and we should be able to gain on higher EBITDA margins as compared to the monsoon quarters. Other than that, Shyam Metallic being a company catering to the long steel value chain, we are highly a construction-oriented sector. We are present in a construction-oriented sector. So we believe that the next 2 quarters would be quite interesting for us, and let's see.
Okay.
Right. Mr. Agarwal, steel makers such as yours always operate on a very thin EBIT and net profit margin, it being a commodity business. Would you like to take us through the trends that you are observing in raw material prices, especially iron ore?
Sure. So, most of steel companies are currently operating on very thin margins. And looking at the nature of the industry, it's very important to be cost resilient. And I believe that over the last few years, we've been able to demonstrate how cost resilient we are as a company, and that has been reflected. That has been reflective of most of the numbers, most of the profitability, EBITDA margin numbers that are out there. We believe that when it comes to the commodity prices, us being present in the long steel value chain, making steel from the DRI route, we will remain largely unaffected by the shooting coking coal prices that has recently caught up with most players, and has also contributed to increasing the steel prices. Where iron ore is concerned, we look at firming prices as compared to last quarter. In the current month, we are seeing the prices firming up, but also the demand as well as the prices on the finish steel have been quite supportive. Along with that, we have very strategic procurement initiatives. Being there in the value chain and being there running the plant on an end-to-end basis, where we are producing our own iron ore pellets and that is going down to the finished steel capacities, we see a lot of gains also coming in from the raw material prices, right? So while the prices are firming up, demand is supportive, and yes.
Okay. Many thanks, Mr. Agarwal, for being with us then, and discussing with us all these insights about the business. All the best to you for the upcoming quarterly results as well. And we shall hope to catch up again to discuss more about the business outlook thereafter. Many thanks for being with us on this special edition.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.